Welcome to the Neighborhood Pulse. You know, wherever you are in life, you never forget the neighborhood. This is the show that talks all about real estate. Hear it from the industry professionals. Join host Kevin Callback, if he's from Realty Executive Cornerstones, and Eddie Martinez from MSB to learn what the Neighborhood Pulse is. The Neighborhood Pulse brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Mobile Accounting. Check them out at www.mobile.tax. They bring accounting and tax to you. Don't pack up your stuff and go to them. They're going to come right to you. Today, building types and materials. Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, sir? I've got Danny Hunsker here with Right Home Inspections.
Hello, everybody.
That's it. He's here with us today. Thanks for coming. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for coming.
We got
Thanks
Eddie
for having
Martinez, McHenry Savings Bank, and we're going to drill you about information, about inspections, about building construction.
We got all the
building
complaints
types.
ready for
That's
you.
right.
Okay,
That's
I'm
right.
ready to take them.
That's right.
No, we don't.
There are a lot of buildings out there, different type styles, differences, so brownstones, they've got Cape Cods, ranches, 2 stories, colonials, igloos, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, right. Teepees,
Yeah.
stuff like that back in the day. I mean, good stuff. Wood cabins, log cabins. And so we're going to talk a little bit about building construction today and the different types of homes and some of the benefits and some of the negatives to those. And this is important for agents and people that are in the industry to understand, because if they don't understand what they're talking about, they could get themselves in trouble and push their client indirectly or improperly, not indirectly, improperly. So there's that true. That's true.
That's true.
That's true. That's it.
We have to lead our clients well.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So how long you been doing this? How long you been?
Well, I've been a home inspector 20 years,
Okay.
Second generation tradesman, was a contractor for a number of years, about 7 years. And I like the home inspection the best. It's always better to call it out and just enlighten the client.
Now, we've probably done 100 inspections together, at least
I think
together.
it's more like 150.
Probably 150. So it's been a lot. And I tell you, I use Danny regularly with some other folks because they're very thorough. They know what they're doing. They explain things. And they're not there to scare you, but they're definitely there to show you everything. And you give them a 45 page report at the end of the day that says, hey, this is your house, and that's it. Now, a lot of the stuff that's marked is minor,
Right.
Stuff. It's just but you point it out because it presents the whole package. So tell me a little bit about that report of 45 pages.
Sure. Well, 45 pages is we're not giving them 45 pages of problems. We're
Right.
giving them
True.
usually anywhere from like 50 to 100 pictures depending on the home.
Right.
And sometimes it depends on how the report is laid out. Sometimes the picture could actually take up the whole page. It depends on how the report's laid out. But we do a lot of maintenance notes, and those are in the body of the report.
Okay.
The summary items, which are on the first page, those are the important
That's true.
items. Those are the items that usually are the costly items, the items to look out for. And those are also the items that the lawyers just pretty much focus in on.
Yeah.
Lawyers just really focus in on the summary sheet in general.
Typically, right? So a home inspection, here in Illinois with the Realtor Board 7.0 contract states right in there is one, agents will not supply any portion copy pictures to the seller unless specifically asked for. So it's important that they understand that. The second thing the agents need to understand is that inspection is for major health safety issues, right? If you're going to call something out, it's got to be something important. It's got to be, the cracked heat exchanger. There's an active leak. It's not meant for all the ticky-tack stuff. There's a stain on the carpet. The doorknob is loose. It's just not, right?
Or a broken louver on one of the blinds.
That's right. Louvers.
That doesn't make it to the report.
That's it. That's exactly right. So, and if it does make it in the report, it's not meant to be used. It's just painting that whole picture that you like to paint.
Correct.
Now, a home inspector, typically, most of the guys, other people I've worked with, do home inspections, period. Now, you do a little bit more. What are some of the other inspections agents or inspectors can do that agents may need to be aware of?
Well, we try to be a one-stop shop.
Right.
We are radon licensed, so we do in-house radon. We also do lead, mold, and asbestos sampling.
Okay.
Now, it's important to call it sampling because the people that do the testing is the lab. The lab does the testing. So
Okay.
what we do is we take the sample, and we're certified to take the samples. We overnight those to ProLab. ProLab has, I believe, at this point, 24 technicians. They're actually people. They don't send it over there to a computer and have a computer. There's actually people that are on site. They actually have an MD on site, actually, too. Believe it or not, a person with actually a medical doctrine.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where you have to have a third party sample the item.
Right.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that usually takes about 48 hours to 72 hours, depends on the sample.
Okay. Anything else that people should be tested for? I know all VA deals here in Illinois require that termites, wood boring and
Mhm.
infestations.
Well, we don't offer that, but we do. We do know some local individuals in the area that can supply that. But
Yeah.
normally in this area, they're dormant 6 months out of the year, so you don't see a lot of
Right.
activity with termites.
Sure, and it gets cold in Illinois, so we don't
Mhm.
see them that often.
Mhm.
Do we get them? Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
rare. It's pretty rare. It's
Mhm.
pretty rare.
Not
We
as
also
often.
we also have a drone service too, where you can fly a drone and take pictures of the roof and stuff like that. So
That's it.
yeah.
You got to get into photography. You can be my drone guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's it. Home inspection. So building construction. So we were talking about different types of buildings and such as well. So and thank you for all that information, by the way.
Not only that, but we're also talking about how there's this misconception that they're the bad guy or they're the good guy,
Right.
and I think a lot of people overlook or oversee just they see some of the hazards that could be potentially dangerous to have fixed, but what about the health concerns there that are long lasting effects like mold or other
Right.
things out there? So I think those are the stuff that need to be more on site so people are more educated on how concerning that could be. Kent's not a health inspector, but he showed us a couple of houses and said, hey, this might have this or this might need
Right.
this, and those were enough of a red flag for me to just let's look at something else.
That's why I like working with Kevin, because he knows a lot about the homes, and he's
I learned it
been
from
through
you.
been through a few hundred inspections, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
A few thousand.
what about asbestos? So in this area here, we have homes that are built all the way back to late 1800s, early 1900s.
Lincoln times.
And back then the different materials were used for different circumstances, tiling and,
Mhm.
and heating and insulation and such. What can you tell us about asbestos? Is it something you test for? Is it something you deal with at all?
Well, when we go through home inspection school, one of the test questions is if they're hair-like fibers. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what they look like. Okay, and if you took 100,000 of these hair-like fibers and you lined them up end to end, 100,000, they would actually be less than 1 inch long. That's how small they are. So when you breathe them in, they go way deep in your lungs.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And your lungs, what they do is it forms like a blister type scab over it, and then it becomes malignant over time.
Yeah.
So it's important to not breathe that stuff and
Right.
to call it out. But
Sure.
most of the time, the asbestos is not harmful until it's disturbed. Like when you start doing remodeling or
Right.
you're storing stuff in your attic. One thing we see the most of is vermiculite insulation in attics, which is like a rocky, mineral, grainy material, and also pipe wrap, which is pipe wrap on the old boiler pipes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. The boiler pipe wrap, in my opinion, is more harmful than the other stuff because
Really?
it's just more airborne,
Uh,
and really a lot of the fibers get into the air.
So what should agents look for? They're showing their clients a home.
Mhm.
What are some things throughout the home that might signify there might be asbestos? I mean,
Well-
obviously they're typically not going in the attic,
Right.
right?
Well, first of all, the age of the home would be a key indicator,
Right.
because if it was in anywhere from like the 40s to the 60s, mid 60s, we'll say you might see it. You
Okay.
might see,
See age
vermiculite
home.
asbestos. You might see the pipe wrap on the pipes, and then that's when you'll see typically those 9-inch tiles that are,
There
you
you
see the
go.
9-inch tiles mainly. Those mostly do have asbestos. Now, through my experience of testing that material, it's kind of lower in the caliber rather than the pipe wrap, as I mentioned earlier. So,
Right, absolutely. And we talk about the 9x9 tiles. They're square. They a lot of times I see them. They look kind of like a bowling ball pattern with that kind of marble look to it, or swirl or something of that nature.
Correct. And if you look at the side of them, they have like little gold flakes in the side.
Oh, okay.
If you look at it,
Yeah.
so that it could be a key indicator.
Good. To know.
But again, that's not harmful till it's disturbed. So I
Right.
mean, if you do a floating floor over something like that, that's not bad. I mean, you're not really disturbing it.
Yep. I see a lot of
Okay.
people put plastic down and then put floating floor
Mhm.
over it with a little thing of cushion.
Vapor
Home
barrier.
Depot. Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So
What about when you walk in? And I know there's all sorts of smells, but what's one to look out for that you're like, okay,
As far as the smell,
so smells around
well,
the
yeah,
inspections?
if it has a pungent, musty smell, then you know there's going to be some mold spores in the air that you just can't see. So when we smell the musty smell, we definitely have to keep looking for it till we find it. Usually, it's going to be from a foundation crack in the basement or a leaky pipe.
leaky pipe.
Stuff like that. A lot of it comes from the reverse pitch back to the house. The grading to the house is very important too, because if the water sheds back to the house, what happens is in times where it's like it rains and it's like 40 degrees and it rains, and then all of a sudden it turns down to 15 or 20 or 15 degrees. It's like putting your Coke can in the freezer.
Yeah.
Water expands at 10%, so it's going to push against the foundation and create cracks over time.
Got it.
That's why it's extremely important to pitch that soil away from the home.
Right. Not only is it push, so when you say it's pushing, it's creating thousands of pounds of pressure. I mean, it's not just like it's
about
giving it a shove.
3,000 pounds.
it's- so
It's like parking
3,000,
your
yeah.
car on the side of your house.
Right.
Wow.
Absolutely. And it's not designed for
Or
that.
a light
right?
car. Yeah.
That's it. It's like, yeah, crazy. That is insane.
And most of the time it's going to crack around the window openings because
Mhm.
that's the weak point.
Right.
And is that when you see, like, in we've seen a few homes, and I've seen some throughout my life and whatnot, you'll see cracks that are diagonally or vertical.
Correct.
Is that caused by just
Well,
maybe the expansion and freezing waters, or
Right. The horizontal cracks are the worst ones because that's basically the wall is getting pushed in the middle of the wall. That's why you'll see it. It'll open up on the one side. It's not being pushed in. But it's normally hydrostatic pressure, that freezing water just pushing and pushing against it.
yeah.
And over time, it might take 30 years, but it'll start to push the wall in.
Yeah. And typically in a house, you're walking around, there's the cracks by the windows or where the ceiling meets the wall and stuff like that, second floor or whatever. Lines straight up and down or a little bit of an angle, usually not a problem, right? You say, well, that's a normal setting crack.
It's a
Looks
vertical
typical.
crack. Typical.
When it's an angle like this, on I guess
Horizontal,
like this, sorry,
yeah.
looking the wrong way here.
Or a 45-degree
let's not
angle.
do that sign.
But a 45-degree angle is not as good.
Okay.
You want to have them be vertical.
Yeah, you want them up and down
Okay.
and not at an angle.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
usually it means something's pulling
Right.
or shifting.
Right.
Really something
Right.
more might be going
Correct. Now we're talking about concrete foundations at this point. Now, when you step into a block foundation, that has a big difference.
It sure do.
As far as the hydrostatic pressure. A lot of times we'll come up on houses that are cinder block foundations, and they simply don't have any sump pump in them. So, in that situation, it's even more critical to have the ground pitch, the dirt pitch away from the house, because the block, it just doesn't hold up like the solid concrete walls do.
That's it. And I'm talking about block, and I know we're getting a little off track here, but when you have a block foundation, you're gonna get seepage. It's just gonna happen over time. The mortar and everything deteriorates. Water's gonna come through. You might go in there and say, "Oh, it's nice and clean. I don't see any signs of water." You need to maintain that. You need to seal it. You need to paint it. You need to pay attention.
Constant
Tuck
supervision.
pointing.
Yeah.
It's
tuck
like
pointing.
painting the exterior of a wood house. You just have to do it because you're going to have that seepage over time. So now there's ways to fix that, but that's a whole nother show.
That's for the next one.
That's for the waterproofing guys.
That's it.
So as we're talking about building construction, I know you have some questions that you would like to ask and quiz us.
Well,
Let's see,
I always
just,
have these fun little quizzes that I like to give the agents when I go do a lunch and learn. Because the more you know, the more money you're going to make.
So we got Eddie.
Yeah, here we go. This is the financial pulse of the Neighborhood Pulse with our good friend, Eddie Martinez.
Thank you. Great intro. Just want to touch base on just a couple of things that I've noticed lately. Is just the topic right now for this segment is just get your budget in order. Summer is here. You have a lot of plans. I want to do this. I want to do that. But also prior to having this great weather, it was freezing cold and out here in the Midwest at least. And you're it's the new year. You got your goals, your resolutions, and part of that is probably time to revisit those goals. Get your budget in order, tune up your credit, just like you need to tune up your car. Time to consolidate on things that you don't need and want, and start creating that budget. Put yourself in that position to win, so that when you are ready to, reach out to myself or a lender, Kevin, call back for your home search needs, or even our good friend here, to do your home inspection. You have all those things in order.
Amen.
So that you don't lose track. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty out there with rates. Rates are still good. Rates are still, in a good position. Unlike our gas prices right now are going through the roof. So get your stuff in order, get your budget in line. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll be here to guide you and help you.
Yep. NMLS number
437-138. Yes.
Awesome, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. You're right. Budget is where it starts.
Yes.
And I see people getting nervous now. Like, I got to find a house. My lease is getting over. Rates are going up. I got to get a house. You're like, did you talk to a lender yet?
Right.
Well, no, but I got to get a house. Well, you can't get a house without a loan. Unless
I make
cash.
money, but
right.
I don't show any.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Self-employed, talk to a lender way in
Yeah.
advance.
So get to this stage, you got to get all that stuff ready ahead of time. So that's we're trying to get more people to you.
First step is to talk to a lender, then call your realtor, and your realtor will connect you with an excellent home inspector. Or
Yes.
friends or family can recommend them. You can look them up with the phone
For your
book.
safety and your health.
Look at their Google reviews. Danny's got a couple 100 5-star reviews, so he's doing okay.
520, but who's counting?
Yeah, I was counting. That's awesome. 520. That's amazing. That is crazy. So I forgot. Oh yeah, you had some questions, so we're gonna go through
Well,
that.
just a couple interesting facts about building materials today. Just a little quick true-false questionnaire. I've got about 15 questions. I don't have time to ask all
we'll
those.
shoot through a few. And
Okay, I'll just take the
we'll
interesting
make,
ones
available
here.
online here.
I'll
They
just
can
take
click.
the interesting ones here. Copper water piping usually will last about 70 to 80 years in service, depending on acidity and sediment in the water supply. Is that true or false?
True.
That's actually true.
There you
That's
go.
actually true.
Yes,
Here's another one. The steeper the pitch of a roof and the lighter the color of the shingles will help the roof last longer and provide a cooler attics and living spaces. True or false?
I'm gonna say false.
True.
That's actually true. The steeper the roofs, they vent better, and the shingles usually last longer because when the rain hits the roof, it doesn't
Right. It doesn't
have as
stay
much
there,
of an
right.
impact, and it resists the hail a little bit better. Okay, here's a good one. Vents on crawl spaces are 4 to 6 feet from corners on houses, and these vents are often overlooked by agents and not listed on the MLS. Is that true or false?
That's true.
That's actually true. So you agents out there, if there's no crawl space on the list, and you walk up to the house and you see these vents, these steel vents on the house, there's a crawl space there.
Yeah.
There's been at least 3 times in the last year or so that we had a crawl space situation. We walked in there, I found it. The buyer did not want a crawl space, and I couldn't save the deal. I said, "Look, there's no issues here," but they simply didn't want a crawl space, and then that immediately killed the deal.
I think that's when they say you're the bad guy.
Probably.
But that's the good thing because
Yeah.
you were there to what the buyer wants. So.
Mm-hmm. Here's one that's pretty good. Copper electrical wiring in residential homes will usually last about 80 years, depending on loads and frequency of use.
Copper wiring, I'd say yes. True.
That
Alright.
is actually true.
Okay.
That's true.
They're gonna say actually false. I'm like, oh.
Let's see if you
Okay, here's a good one. Mature trees have more sugar content. I'm sorry, hold on. Mature trees have less sugar content than younger trees. Younger trees are mass produced for housing and always cut down after they are fully developed. True or false?
true. I want to say half true, but true.
That's actually true. Mature trees have less sugar content. That's why you don't have as much mold in older houses than you do in the younger houses.
Yeah, they're cutting them down way too young.
They cut them
It's,
down, and there's more sugar content in the tree product.
I think we need so much materials that
Right.
just
So
whizzing
then
through
when you
these
have the
things,
right temperature and relative humidity, you've
Yeah.
got the perfect thing for mold
That's
to grow.
crazy.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Here's a great one. Common bricks will grow over time while cinder blocks will shrink. Is that true or false?
We're just talking about cinder block actually, and I'm gonna say true.
That's actually very true. People,
True.
yeah,
Yeah, well, that's right.
people think that bricks would shrink, like anything else, but actually the bricks, common bricks, grow over time while the cinder block shrinks. So you're looking at a 1960s garage, and they got a cinder
Yeah.
block interior and a brick exterior. You get like a tipping effect on the top of the
Mhm.
wall.
Yeah,
So that's when you'll see some of those cracks that we're talking about.
Interesting.
typically, I
And-
don't usually see brick on top of block, but it does
Brick
happen.
on
I mean,
brick.
I've seen it, but I don't see it too often these days.
Well, usually they have a block interior wall
Right?
and then a common brick exterior veneer wall.
Oh, veneer, got it.
And then you'll have that tipping
Yeah.
because they're kind of locked in
I believe
together. Okay. Let's see. 3 of the most common wood framing techniques used in structures in Illinois are post and beam, balloon framing, and platform framing. Okay.
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 Now, which one has the most shrinkage? Which one will shrink over time the most?
So you got balloon,
I'm gonna say
platform,
balloon.
and what?
And platform framing,
Platform, balloon, and sticking
post and beam.
Post and beam. Balloon. It's just one long piece of wood from the ground to the top, right?
That you'll have the least shrinkage on.
Least shrinkage, really.
Least
Okay.
shrinkage on that one.
And then the most would be what?
The most would be platform framing because you build a wall on the first floor and then you put your deck box on the second floor and then you build another
Oh, so
wall.
it's all that
So
weight
yeah,
over
so you
time.
have multiple pieces of wood together and you'll have shrinkage. Usually that shrinkage is about a half inch per floor.
Okay.
Jeez.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yep. So and then also you combine that with your common bricks that do grow. So you actually have to make your window openings way bigger over time.
That is, I tell you what, we're building new construction right now. Some folks are buying new construction, and they wanted to come in and measure for windows, and they says not till we're done because things are going to be might be a little bit different than when you go there
Yeah.
before everything's all put in place, right?
Here's another awesome one. Trees planted next to homes will search for water piping and try to grow roots under the homes, especially in times of drought.
True.
That actually is true. And
That's
I was
it.
on one sewer scope seminar one time, and I heard from the guy teaching the course. He said that the tree roots are actually attracted to the drains underground by
Yeah.
vibration.
Yeah.
I
They're,
was like,
they're
well,
like
that's an interesting one.
over
That's
years,
it.
you're
That's
like
pretty cool.
getting there.
That's it. Well, thank you for those questions. We're going
Appreciate
to
it.
post those out. Feel free to click on the link.
So in the northern Illinois area, then there's a lot of homes on septic. So those septic fields, let's say they were put in the 60s, and there's a lot of mature trees. So you're saying that those
They find
roots may dig towards those fingers. I don't know what you guys call them, right?
They
But-
they would. It's called a leach field, but
Huh.
Yeah, that's
They-
a lot
they
of good
would.
water.
there's a lot of good water there.
Yeah.
They'll start wrapping their little vines around them and
crazy.
cut it off. Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
a lot of those old ones are what is that, clay pipe or something, right?
Terracotta piping.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Those are notorious for.
Huh.
over years
Yeah.
are brittle and easy axes and
Well, that's
funny
interesting.
I'll
smells.
tell you what.
That's why if you're buying a home that's like 40 years or more, you're probably pretty off. Be a good idea to do a sewer scope.
And people out
Yeah,
here,
it would be.
they love those Victorian homes. And those are older homes,
Mhm.
and that's where you really need to get great inspection done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just a question for you.
Sure.
Of course, you're listening to 216 Net. This is the Neighborhood Pulse. And the Neighborhood Pulse brought to you through the financial support of our good friends at Mobile Accounting. Mobile.tax. They'll come to you. You are an inspector.
Yes.
Kevin is a home expert because he sells. He's a realtor. Why is it that a lot of realtors will fight what the inspector finds? So in other words, you find an issue. I don't know what it is. I just sold my house. Let's say there's mold in the attic. The realtor goes, you're in the Midwest. There's mold in every attic, right? And then do you get a lot of blowback, or why is it that realtors try to make light of something that might need to be addressed?
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying, okay,
Dirty rats.
No, no, no.
I'm just
Well-
saying, I'm just saying realtors in general.
I would say, there's a lot of really good realtors out there,
Amen.
but unfortunately, like anything else, there's good doctors and bad doctors. I do think that some agents would just go for the easy money and just say, "Oh, it's okay. It's been like that for years. It's no problem." But it's important to enlighten and not frighten the client. It's really important.
Right.
The more you educate them, I think you can kind of take the ease off their mind, and also enlighten them how easy it is to fix stuff. It's really, if you're fairly handy, a lot of this stuff is pretty easy to fix, as long as you could get good coaching and you're fairly handy. But I think that for the most part, to answer that question, is they'll go for the easy money, and it's just really important to be forthright and enlighten the client on all the issues, because at the end of the day, nobody wants any callbacks and, of course,
Unless
lawsuits.
it's a
First
Kevin
thing they'll
callback.
do
Unless it's Kevin called
is they're going to give their report to a lawyer, and we need to just make sure that everyone is on the same page.
Yeah.
It's on the
Right.
same page.
So I think, yeah. So I think that's very important. Is when we get an inspection report and we look at it, I don't go, oh my God. I say, well, okay, this is what's going on.
Mhm.
This is here. Do we have to fix it? Can we ask them to fix it? Can we get a credit? It's about educating them and letting them know the severity of the issue as well. And I know the inspectors I use, like yourself, will take a phone call from a client anytime. They'll be like, hey, you got questions? Call me. And we have them do that. We say, you know what, call the inspector. I'm not sure about that. I'm not a building construction expert, and you are. So sometimes we're referring back to you, but it's about educating them and making sure they understand the severity of it. Like if the septic field is bad, that's a pretty expensive fix,
And
right?
one more important thing
Like
on that,
15K and up.
on
Yep,
that,
I'm in the
it's
process.
important to kind of give the client some good orientation right off the bat, because if we over-report, then it looks like a problem house, and it's not a problem house. And a lot of times the clients want to get everything out of the inspection, so they want every little nick, every little blemish in the wall, anything in the report. And it's important to just
Yes.
set them straight and say, listen, this is about safety and health
Right.
and things that are not
Absolutely.
functioning.
Right.
And in this market, a lot of times it's going to be an as is, as shown deal, which
Right.
you really don't want to over-report in this market.
Right.
So
And people say, what is as is? So, and I want to make sure that people understand what that means. If you waive your inspection, that means you're not having any inspection. That's it. You're buying it, period.
Yeah.
When you buy it as is, it means you're going to have an inspection, or can have an inspection if you choose to. You can still walk away, but you can't ask for any repairs. Now, if you say, I'm walking away because of this, and the seller says, I'll fix that, then that's okay. You can't ask them for any repairs, and we're buying it as is. So be a man of your person of your word,
Yeah.
and move forward appropriately, and make sure you're working with an agent that gives you the best direction. Correct? I would
that
say
is
yes.
that is correct. That is correct.
Ouch.
And usually it will happen as is, as shown. But if there's a major issue like a mold issue, or
Right,
something else like that, a lot of
Right.
times the sellers will take care of that.
right. Especially if it's something something that looks similar to mold, is because no matter who buys it in the future, they're probably going to have an issue with that as
Mhm.
well. So it's, if I have a seller, I'm like, what do we do? Hey, they bought it as is, we move
Mhm.
on. So
Yep.
kind of crazy like that. But there is a lot of opportunity out there. I appreciate it. Construction, right? So you're talking about posts, you're talking about frame.
Yes,
We're
post-
seeing,
Yes, post and beam, balloon framing, and platform framing.
so from older construction to more current construction, I think we're seeing different types of materials being used than back in the old days. I think we're using different types of building. So truss
Mhm.
has become very, very, very popular these days because it's most affordable, using the least amount of wood, and
Plus-
it's affordable and it's easy to move.
It gives you an open floor plan too, because
Right.
the trusses load on the exterior walls.
Right.
So it gives you an open floor pan, gives you an advantage opposed to the older houses that were stick framed and had a partition wall they had to load
Right.
on.
That's why you have those beams in your basement and,
Mhm.
and your kitchen walls and stuff like that, because they have to hold that up. They have to
Right.
support it.
Right. A bearing wall, I should have said. Yes, a
The
bearing
right.
wall.
Mhm. Bearing wall.
Right.
And people ask, a lot of times, hey, is this a load bearing wall? I'm
Mhm.
like, I have no idea.
Mhm.
So I don't know how they built it. I got to get them in the attic again.
Right.
Let's find somebody who knows what the heck they're talking about. Because I say, I don't think so. I don't know. So I tell them I don't know, but that's pretty funny. But the truss construction, there are some great things about it. It's very durable. It lasts a long time. It's self-sustaining. The bad part is under fire load, it's not very good. If one truss fails, the entire roof can fail. Is that correct?
Oh, that is correct. And the other thing I see a lot too is people want to put their attic ladders in, and they'll cut through the lower cord of the truss. So
That's
when
true.
they cut through the lower cord of the truss, it really kind of holds the outside walls in.
Mhm.
So it does create an issue with the structure.
Right. Yeah. And when you have your building materials that are holding your basement up or holding your ceiling up, or your garage, and you want to put a garage door opener in and you want to drill through those or cut them or adjust them at all, don't do that, because it decreases the strength of the roof and can cause some serious life
Right.
health injuries,
Correct.
right? Maybe even death.
Well,
Death
yeah,
happens.
you'll definitely have some movement.
You might
That's
die.
right. You might die. Don't try this at home, folks. Seriously.
So you're doing your. Oh, go ahead.
What advances have you seen? There's a lot of new building going on now, of course, right? And you will still inspect a new home,
Of course.
right? Because who knows how it was put together. What advances in the building materials have you seen that you're just like, wow, boy, if they had this 20 years ago?
A lot of lighter, stronger material. Like man-made beams, which are able to span farther, and then also like TJI joists, which are it's like a web type joist,
I
so it can
dinner
load
there.
on the outside wall. It's kind of real similar to a truss, and they're quieter, they're straighter, and you don't have as many floor squeaks and stuff like that. So that's very helpful, and I think it does save the trees and saves the environment as well.
That is very good. Very good. There's a lot of changes in building construction materials that people don't realize how it was different back in the day. It's kind of like technology today is a lot different, so it gives more opportunity. It's kind of crazy. So a lot of homes in this area we see are 2 stories, ranches, and Cape Cods. There's a primary, right? Is there primary methods out here? What are some of the features of a Cape Cod that are good and bad?
Well, Cape Cods, normally, when you see a Cape Cod, it has a lot of dormers and stuff on there, which
Yeah.
gives you a challenge
So it's a peaked roof,
for
right.
venting. Now, does anyone know how mold grows in attics? Here's a good one. How does mold grow in attics? How does it get there?
There's no light or something.
Well,
so that it grows. Or
There's moisture.
moisture.
Right. There's moisture in there. And really what it is most of the time it's from lack of soffit venting. It's always a venting issue. Normally it's either bathrooms venting in the attic or lack of makeup air, which would be the soffits, which are like the overhangs on the roof or on the rafters, because the air breathes from the bottom. And that's the incoming air. That's like the carburetor of your attic. And then you need an exhaust. And the exhaust can be a ridge vent or it can be a mushroom vent. Now, when the interior attic air does not change to the outside temperature as fast as the outside temperature, what happens is it's like taking a hot shower on a cold day with the bathroom or the window. All that steam that hits the glass, warm air always chases cold air. That's science. It creates convection in the sky, currents in the ocean. Warm always chases cold. So when you see attics that don't breathe properly, you'll always see that moisture will be hitting the plywood, and you'll see discoloration of plywood usually within just a few years. But if you keep doing it over 30 years, you're going to have a nice discolored attic, and that's how it works.
That's true. And a lot of times things change, right? Is when I'm working with a home seller, I'm like, hey, when's the last time you're up in your attic? Because people don't really go in their attic.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like their crawl space. They don't like going in their crawl space or their attic.
Right.
The rest of it's all good. And a lot of times they don't even know that the vent from the bath shower has disconnected and is pumping moisture
All that
into
in
your,
there.
into your
So-
attic, right?
Just to circle back to your question and answer that. So,
It's Freedom Friday right here. 21.6 The Net Neighborhood Pulse. Kevin Kolbeck, welcome. Freedom Friday.
Freedom Friday, baby. Break the chains that bind you, whatever they may be, my friend. And that's it. So today we're talking about lead generation, right? There are so many ways out there to connect with buyers and sellers. And it can go from billboards all the way down to mailing postcards, farming, past clients and spheres, your friends and family. And really, if you're looking into those sources, make sure you pay attention to what it's costing and what the return is. If there's guarantees, if you're paying at the beginning or the end of, if you're getting referrals from a paid source, whether they get paid up front to give you the leads or you pay at the end when it closes, because some of those fees can be very expensive and necessarily not worth your time. So a lot of times the best way is friends, family, past clients, being a member of a chamber, the McHenry Chamber, Crystal Lake Chamber, Cary Chamber, all great chambers out here. Get involved with people that are trying to grow their business, people of like-minded, trying to grow and help people and be a professional in your business. So if you need any questions, any comments on that, you want some sources, give us a call, 708-277-3913. I think I've tried them all.
And you know what? The old is new, right? So
Old is new,
mailers, actually, mailbox things are coming back.
They're coming back.
Yeah.
Yep. So you got the geographic farming, kind of know your neighborhood, man. Talk to your neighbors because they're good people.
Good
Most
stuff.
of them.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to mold.
Let's go back to mold.
okay,
And mold.
back to the mold. Mold is gold, actually.
For some.
That is true.
That's right.
But yeah, so it's important to have those attics vent properly, and that's the number one thing that we find is lack of venting,
Yeah.
and that's what will cause mold in the attics. Now, of course, anything can be fixed, but when we do find mold in the attic, it really kind of means two contractors: one that's going to address the mold, and another one that's going to address the venting.
Yeah. One that's going to address what caused it. Yeah.
But one key thing to look out for is that,
Scammers.
well, here's the thing. When they fix the mold, they usually go in the attic and they'll spray it with a miticide. So you want to make sure that they actually do the miticide first, okay, and then put the venting in. Because if you go in there and spray it, a lot of times you'll cover up the ridge vent, and you'll clog the venting with the spray.
Ah, okay.
So
Okay.
I've seen that
That's
before too. So it's important to do that first.
And you should check, the guy who runs your cable wires and such, if he's up in your attic, you should check it. And just because you have a new roof doesn't mean that you don't have mold in your roof. They replace the exterior. They may never went into your, attic. I mean, they're putting the vents are there, everything's there.
Right.
So just because you got a new roof, I just have this right now. The guy's like, I have a new roof. I said, I get it. But they changed the exterior, not the interior.
And also, the roofers never going back in the attic and hook up the bath fans properly to
that's where we're running
They're
at.
in
I wouldn't say
Yep.
never. I
Well,
got some great roofers.
okay,
I got some great
my
roofers.
fault.
Some
But,
people, some roofers
some
may
do
not.
not. That's correct.
But mine, Rob Marshall, does a great job. He's with custom roofing.
But that's
For all of our roofers out there, please send your comments to Right Home.
Funny stuff. So anyway, we're talking about Cape Cods as we kind of,
Yes.
so we got into mold and attics and,
Okay.
and such. So the benefits and the
Goods and the
cons and pros and cons.
well, the benefits to that are normally they're pretty easy to walk because they're lower. As far as an inspection
Mhm.
perspective, they're normally easier to maintain because they're usually lower.
Right.
But again, the venting issue is a con of that. Okay,
Right.
one of the roofs that have the most venting issue is the mansard roof.
Yeah.
Okay, when you see the mansard roof, you get a lot of second floor space out of that particular roof, but they don't vent properly. It's important to vent those properly. So,
Yeah. Those are because they're tricky for
and,
sure.
and flat roofs are too, are important to vent properly.
right.
They actually have like little periscope vents that you can put in. Okay.
Right.
Right. And sometimes on Cape Cods, if they're really old, they might not have an overhang on the rafter, which would mean that there would be no way to put the soffit vents in. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So in that case, then they sell like there's like a eyebrow shingle that you could put in on the second or third course. that will allow the air to breathe at the lower course of the shingle.
Is that-
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing.
Hey, Mo, give me your eyebrow shingle.
So,
Yeah.
over at Right Home Inspection, you offer some services, that can be very beneficial for realtors. You've got a pre-home inspection in the green room. We were talking about. You said what was it? What was a walk?
A pre-listing could be a walk and talk, which is no report. Okay. And or we could just do the full inspection with a report. But normally, if it's a pre-listing, the seller's just looking for the major stuff. They just want to make sure that there's not going to be any major holdups for the sale.
Right.
But also, I can speak to the homeowner candidly too, because there's no deal on the table yet. I can give them maintenance tips, just ways they can save time and money. But yeah, walk and talk is another option.
So that's the walk and talk is where you would go through with the homeowner or the realtor.
I would go with the homeowner
Mhm.
who's projected to sell the house, and they would walk through the property with me. It's my full routine with no report. Normally, the inspection, the national average is about 1,000 square feet per hour, plus the report. That's about right.
Wow.
So
There you go. Pre-home inspections are great. I mean, they kind of point out all the issues that get addressed. And most people want to sell a house that's safe and comfortable. And
Right.
the people they sell it to are going to enjoy it.
Mhm.
And they want to have a nice transaction that's not going to get caught up on anything.
correct.
And then they can address it or give a credit or say, hey, you know what, get a home warranty because I know it's old, but it still works, right? And Cape Cods we're going back to Cape Cods. It has the angled ceilings. So in the inside, you lose a lot of space, right? Because what's that space called between the exterior and the interior wall? Like it's like the upstairs attic.
There's no.
The
It's
hall
like
attic.
it's called a knee wall.
Knee wall. Yep,
Okay,
there
the
you
knee
go.
wall-
That's right.
Will help the roof perform loads better, but it also a lot of times you can't really use that space that's like a triangle anyway because it's so
Right.
small.
Yeah, I've seen some people use it for storage, right? The nice part about it is if you can dorm it, you can open it up, right? Now, does that get you right to the edge, or is that you're still losing some space because of that?
It depends on how you want to frame it.
Yeah.
If you want to go over the exterior wall, there's a recipe for that too. For every foot overhang, you have to go 3 feet back. Okay, so
Yeah.
you can go for an overhang. In fact, overhang like second floor additions that do have an overhang,
Yep.
they shed the water better off the house. It doesn't run down straight down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get a benefit to that, and you pick up some square footage.
That's it. So yeah, Cape Cods are great. You do lose a lot of space. Headboards are a little tougher to put in there because of that angled ceiling. So you get a lower headboard, lower headboard.
Right.
That's it.
So
That's it.
when it comes to building materials, and you have a stick built house that one has 2x4 and one has 2x6. Obviously, the 2x6 is better constructed.
Yes, it is better. It's definitely a more sturdier structure. Plus, you're going to get more insulation. You get more R value out of that. Do you know what the R and the R value stands for in insulation?
Run away, don't eat it.
Yeah.
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 Right on.
Yeah, really itchy stuff. No,
Yeah,
besides
right.
that.
Yeah, no.
No, but really what it is, it's resistance to heat
Hmm.
is what it
Okay.
means.
So an R14 is ready. It resists 14.
It'd be an R15, but yeah.
R15.
Yeah.
R13 and a half,
Right.
baby.
But yeah, the R15 is just something that came out recently. It's for a 2x4 wall. That's the biggest you can get for a 2x4 wall. But definitely, having more insulation is better. My house is actually built in 1959. Okay, and back when they built that house, they didn't make plywood as much. Okay, it was invented. It was out there, but they didn't really use it for homes as much. So they put 1x8s on the side of the house, and
Yeah.
over time, the 1x8s shrink. So now you've got like little half-inch spaces or quarter-inch spaces, between.
Sure.
So it's important to have your house really insulated.
That's
Now,
fantastic.
let's talk about the homes that come half on a truck. Not mobile homes, not a double wide,
Sure.
but like
module
Yeah.
construction.
yeah,
Sure.
good, better, bad. I've heard people
Um,
say, "Oh, it's great because you've got all these plates running through the middle or something." I don't.
Well, I did build quite a few of those homes. Okay, it's important to actually start on a like if they're going to pre-square the walls and they come out pre-squared, they're really straight and usually built pretty well from the manufacturer. But if you're not going to string your deck box, like making sure it's totally straight
Sounds
across,
personal.
Right.
if it's not totally straight across, then you have your walls that are kind of bumping each other that aren't really tight against each other. Okay, and then you have to make them work.
Yeah.
But that would be a disadvantage to that. The advantage is that they go up so fast.
Yeah.
And they usually always have the paper on the walls, everything. It just it's like putting together a puzzle. It's much easier.
I've seen a lot of YouTubes on that, and I'm like amazed.
Yeah.
Right.
Modular homing is fantastic for quick production for sure.
Mhm.
I don't know that we're seeing new construction do that here. I don't think.
Not that I've seen.
That I've seen.
Or
Modular?
I mean, there's some of the trusses that are coming pre-made,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not bringing them in two pieces. The new construction I've seen here most recently.
Yeah.
McHenry
RD
County.
Thiel uses that a lot.
Do they?
Yeah.
RD Thiel, yeah. I know Lennar's not using it.
What about
They
like
bring
3D
trusses.
printing, real quick?
3D printing?
Like 3D printing homes. They use like these machines and 3D print.
I'm not familiar with a lot of that stuff yet.
Another show, another day.
another day, another dollar. Let's wrap her up. Say Happy Freedom Friday, Eddie. Always a
Yes,
pleasure.
awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
my
having me, guys.
You're
I appreciate
amazing.
it.
Right
That's
home
my own list of
inspections.
things I need to do.
All right.
You know?
That's right. Right home inspections.
It's a pleasure.
Dan Hunsker. Look him up.
That's
his website's right here on the page.
That's it.
Change
Right.
buying
Dash
homes.
home inspections with an S.com. Give them a call, 847-769-8127. If you're going to list somebody's house, this is the guy you want to reach out to make sure everything's good.
Make sure you mention it's in Illinois.
And it's right here in Illinois. There. We both did. Dan. So we're-
Happy Friday the 13th.
That's it. Hey, stick around. Come back at 3 o'clock for In the Know with Steph and Joe. And you know what? On Monday morning, the guys are back. Two bald guys and a microphone back on Monday mornings at 6 a.m. We'll see you, folks.
6 a.m. Everybody up at that time?